Uh, we were okay. We're on number Dalit, I think. Number Dalit on page Tuf Kuf Pay. Okay, so let's see what it says, and let me see if I can how to get this lined up. He says, okay, so he says the Bezoar Chai, in the Zohar Chai, he says, Bebir can become Alfanim, so they explain over here in many different ways, and I try to figure out what he's saying exactly here. Chada, one of them, the Achza Hi Shorish HaMalchus. Now, where does this idea come from? He says, so he says, Malchus Lamala. There's a Malchus that is up above the Shorish of Malchus, and this word Achsa refers to the Shorish of Malchus, which is found up above in Chochmah, beside the Dalet of the Yud Vav Dalet. So now it was originally, we said the Vav Dalet, we could say that it made a Hey. Over here, we're just taking the letter Dalet. So then the word Umodah, he Shorish of Malchus Babina, that's where you find this Malchus, it's the Malchus of Bina. And that would be the Dalet of the Tsuras, Shal Tsuras of the Hay. All right, so Avizel the Sham, and this is the language that he uses over there. He says Achza Umudato, those two words, which we're trying to understand them. Amel Chochma Achosiat. So he quotes that pasuk that we've seen before. Say to Chochma, you are my sister, and he says it's all female there. Moda the bida tikra. So all of that from that Mishlei. So the Malchus, which is called Achosi, is which is my sister. Kolulu b'chochma. It has chochma within it. Now, what does he mean? Malchus. Kabavur b'lekuti Torah. V'yetze ki yesh b'chidas Malchus el yonah. All of these different words are those ideas, that idea. So what are you talking about? He says that the shorish of Malchus here, there's a shorish in Chochmah, and the shorish of this Malchus is in Chochmah, which is called Shchinta. Ve'edach Malchus Tatal. Don't get it mixed up with the lower Malchus. Ve'osar Malchus Sitra the Shchinta Lamala Nikras Achsa. Words again. So he says that this Malchus, the Malchus which is part of Chochmah, which has its shorish in Chochmah, and he gave us an idea where it is in that letter Dalet, of the Yud Vav Dalet. V'osar Malchus Sitra the Shchinta Lumala Nikras Achsa. So that's called an Achsa. That aspect of the Shchina, the shorish of the Shchina, which he says is in Chochmah. V'tavin ki harech b'Malchus. Hamalchus hanicha haroshan shalol lamala b'chochma achsa. So again, it's not really. I'm really seeing what the shorish of the word achsa is actually. It's so confusing. He says ki harega mamalchus hanicha harosham. It leaves as a roshan behind shalol. In other words, somehow it's okay. It's just what he said. It leaves an impression of itself still behind the mala b'chochma, which is that impression that is called achsa. V'gam shorish b'bina. So then also in bina you find the same thing. That's called the shorish of malchus. Malchus, or the aspect of malchus of the bina, is called modato. Kamat moida the isha. So it's like, katam moida le isha. He says, what this somehow living together, Boaz modaatanu. So again, this is Lashon Das, I thought, Boaz dalad shel hey. And this here, referring to the dalad that's in the hay. That's the one that comes from modato. Umisham nemshechas the Sifra. There's another idea that from this knowledge that's within, he says in Bina, he says that this knowledge over there, nemshechas the Sifra, the moon comes from this. Knowledge, of course, refers to Malchus, besod Nahar the Nogid Venofik, like the river. that goes out and comes back, flows in, out, and out. Ad Khan. Now there's stuff missing over here. So Rei B'Ha'aras B'Shem L'Kuti Torah Sham Ayin Sham, and so now there's Ha'ara and Ha'ara here on number 9. So I'm going to come down and look at this. He says Rei B'L'Kuti Torah Sham B'Bir Lashon Tikuni Zohar. So to explain this, the Sifra the Malchus is Korea Sheva Koch Ve'Leches. So he said, from the side of Malchus, I'm trying to put this together with my brilliant knowledge of astrology. The Malchus is called the 7 Koch Ve'Leches. Now in astrology, those Koch Ve'Leches are the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. There's 7 there. Doesn't count the Earth. The Earth would be the 7th one, would be the 8th one, or the center. As it sounds like it's it's an exercise where the Earth is at the very, very center of everything else. Like, what do you say, Makifim. So this is its language. Now he's going to say something different. He says, Masha Amra B'Tikuni Zohar Sham. He says, Ki B'Sifra the Malchus is Korea Zayin Koch Ve'Leches. He said, from the side of Malchus, this where you see, I don't know, what Iskario means, like it happens that or they come out from it, or they call it, I'm not sure what he means, but Iskario, Zayin Koch Ve'Leches, the 7 orbiting planets. So he says the Kavana is what? Kashetetzaref gam hamalchus imachim yehia Zayin Koch Ve'Leches. So you have to have malchus with it in order to get the 7. Now I'm not sure whether. So now he changes the paradigm. And he said by Inyan ki hukshach lachem ki im kol hazayin kochavim, with all of the 7 stars, planets. He calls the Koch Ve'Leches. Zeh b'yisod. He said because it sounds like he's saying now that they all gather into Yisod. He said but Malchus the Mata bebenda, but Malchus is below Yisod. Echem Zayin. So how did they become 7? So I didn't have a question. So I wouldn't have had a question, but I do. So he said, "V'halo Edom Elavav Mechesed Ad Yisod." They're only Vav, and the Vav goes from Chesed Ad Yisod. So if you count them up, there's 6. So there's not 7 Koch Ve'Leches. V'tiritz v'sifta the Shrinta. So you tie it up apparently for the side of the Shrinta, which was Ki Yesh Bechinas Malchus Elyona. This is what we're talking about in up above. In the Zohar Chai, he says Shorsha b'Chochma, that its root is in Chochma Hanikra Sifra the Shrinta. Now that's part of what we learned up above. The Malchus Shrinta Tata, but it's not the Malchus of the lower Shrinta. So he says that the 7 Koch Ve'Leches. I'm trying to see what is he saying here. He says, of course, we saw up above that the Shekhinah up above, Shekhinah down below. We're talking about the aspect of probably the letter Dalet that comes from the letter Yud Vav Dalet. So he said, "Ve'edach b'Malchus Shekhinah Tata, v'osach b'Malchus Sitra the Shekhinah." So that Malchus, which is from the place, I guess I'm thinking when he said the Sitra the Shekhinah, Lamala Nikras Sihura. So up above, so there it's called the moon. A Meshalemes HaCheshbon, it completes the Cheshbon, Shal Hazayin Koch Ve'Leches of the 7 orbiting planets. V'havein Zeh Kadei Shetavin. So this, you have to understand this in order for you to be able to understand Ki Harei HaMalchus Hanicha Rosham Shalo Lamala. So this is basically the Zohar Chai taking these words. V'shorsha b'chochma, and its root is b'chochma b'oz daled shel yud vav daled. So he says ubabina b'oz daled shel, again, once again, shel hanhaga shel, what is this? Shel hey hanaasa mitzvahs hey, which becomes the Mitzuras hey, which is a part of the Dalet that's part of the surah of the letter hey. From there the moon flows down. B'Yisod Nahar Denoged, and so it flows down into Sifra B'Yisod, into the Yisod, which is that river that's flowing there. Ad Kan, it comes down, and I guess it goes out, comes in, goes out. So he said this. So go here. This says B'Chochma. He Alpi Sefer Chulekutim. Okay, that's the site reference. Now there's a lot missing there. I mean, obviously, I can't touch it up with my original understanding of the seven Koch V'Lechas because he's not using that concept, unless at one time that there was considered to be only six, but that doesn't seem to touch up so well. Let's go to number Hey. V'od bir b'zoyer chaysham he sechad ha'achzach b'chi shorish ha'malchus l'malo b'bina. Okay, b'so dalad shal tzuras the Hey. L'madata he shorish zer anpin. So he changes the definition, and he says that modata really referring to zer anpin l'malo b'bina. That is the aspect of zer anpin which is up above in bina. So b'so vav shal tzuras Hey. If you took the dalad part, why not take why not say the other part is the vav part? So that within Bina you have these two aspects. So I guess when Bina takes its place, one second. So he said, Bina b'makoma. She comes into her place or forms up. I'm not sure exactly what he means, but I guess it's atzilusa of Bina. Az na'ases binyan gufa mebechinas vav daled demilu yud vav daled. Then the body is actually formed out from the letter yud, but for the two letters, this vav and this daled. So he said, yud debara ubarta achsa sichra b'malchus shalomala. So he says, and the son and the daughter, which is the vav and the daled. He says achsa, then he has his word achsa, he's stringing these words together. Achsa sihara, which is moon. Moon is another word for malchus, shalomala, which is that which is origins of it, I guess, up above. Modato, then that's the word modata, korov shalom, or relative, krova shalom. Shalom malchus shehi zer anpin besod ozvov. So her krova or her relative is going to be this vav because they ride together, I guess, so to say, in the yud vav daled. He said kalila and dor b'dor, and they actually are incorporated one with the other. B'bina, in bina, as you understand it, and the asid suras Hey, and then you can put them together, and you can make bina out of those two. That's the origin of everything ad kan. Another one. Let's see what he says over here. Where am I? He says, Vav. Excuse me. V'nitzayer kan bir chodesh shebetzida the Ramdal. I got the Ramdal is Moshe de Leon. Beferish Maimari Zohar, so he has his own Maimarim over there. V'zel Deshono betoch devarov. He says Achosi or Achsoi, or I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Zu Ima shehi Achos Abba. So this is Ima because Ima is the sister of Abba. So he changes around. We were saying before the Achsa referred to the Vav and the Daled of the Yud Vav Daled, and now we're saying that it's actually referring to Ima. She is the sister of Abba. Umodata Butsanida Cardenusa. Haino Nukve de Eric Anpin. Now, I'll try to just put this together. The first one he says is Achsa, referring to Ima. And then he said Modata refers to the Butsanida de Cardenusa, the Haino Nukve de Eric Anpin, and that's of the Shitas HaRamdal. Okay, because I wouldn't have known that. So according to the Ramdal, that's what he says. Shehi Dodas Abba. She's like what? She is like an older relative, let's say, or she's an aunt of Abba. It doesn't say that she's like the mother of Abba. This Malchus, which is the Botzina de Cardenusa. He said, "Who hadid la'ach v'lumoida." So we also have the la'achos of the Modaah He said Dahainu Abba Shuhu Ach Ima. So there you're talking about Abba, who's the brother of Ima. Varich Anpen Shuhu Dod Abba, who is his uncle. V'havin Hetev. So you need some work on that in order to be able to understand. This is the first time we've seen the Ramdal in this Ad Kan V'ayin Sham Kol Inyan. Now, Kalilin Do B'Do B'Yud K. So now we have another one, another section, that the two of them are incorporated in these two letters. Now, we've just been examining carefully this concept of Yud and K. So he says like this, he said, B'Bir Inyan Kalilin Do B'Do B'Yud K. Where we say that they're really incorporated, one and the other sounds like they're one. Rei B'Bir HaMeshulav, so the Ashen is Boyer Al Pi Divrei Harizal. Whereas this in the Pri Eitz Chaim, he said, "Oba Bekomos, the Ima Ilo Kolula B'Milui Vav Daled." So that Milui of the Yud is Ima Ilo, Shal Os Yud the Abba. Okay, well this, of course, that's what we said previously. V'Yisrael Saba Kolu B'Ukutz Hayimini Shal Os Hey Shal Tavuna. So he says, and then there you see that he turned it around. You say Yisrael Savat Tavuna, which really represents Bina. So he said, Yisrael Savat Tavuna, Kalu Ba'ukatz Ayumini Shall Osei. So it's the right little corner there of Los Hey Shal Tavuna Ayin Sham. But the sign Kan Od Biurim Bezena. There's other Biurim, I guess, when you get into that, whatever it's talking about. So here comes some other Biurim. He says, Reba Eitz Chaim. He says this is Eitz Chaim. I guess that was it. Okay, so we'll conclude this portion of our shir today, right now. And this is the Sifra Tzniusa at the Tikkun Elevator Kolo.